Ready whenever you are.
Ready.
Ready?
I don't even have a little gavel.
Good evening. This is the work session for Northfield City Council. This meeting was properly advertised in accordance with Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, in the Press of Atlantic City on January 8th of this year. May I have a flag salute led by Mayor Chow, please? Oh, I'm so sorry. Council
President,
President Palestina.
thank you. Attention, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Roll call. Mrs. Bucci? Here. Mr. Deweese? Mr. Leeds?
Here.
Mr. Notaro?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Utz?
Here.
Mr. Palestina?
Here,
Mr. Chow? Mr. President?
thank you. I guess we'll move right into our committee reports. Councilman Utz.
Okay, met with the cultural committee for the first time this Saturday. Besides painting your new building, it was nice to see the committee that's doing fine work. They are planning a 4th of July parade and are currently seeking nominations for Citizen of the Year of Northfield and it's for they would be willing to accept Mr. Northfield. So parade will go on. As far as the planning board goes, although I was not at the meeting, I was with my family. There was a D variance for a medical facility on Northfield Avenue, and that's been postponed or continuance because there was a lot of public people against. And that's all I have. Councilor.
Thank you. Councilman Notaro.
Thank you, Council President. From EMS, Councilman Lees will be doing the report tonight. But again, once again, our EMS service is doing a fine job in town and their response times are down and our calls for service are very low. So I commend them on that for in-service. Mutual aid for calling for mutual aid is very low. So I commend them for that. I also met with Councilman Utz at the Cultural Committee, great organization. They do a lot for our town and we're blessed to have them. From band, I just would like to congratulate the JV girls, the JV boys and the varsity boys basketball teams. They all took championship over the weekend. Once again, we have some winning teams here in Northfield and great group of families that put this together. So I'd like to congratulate them. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Leeds.
Thank you. There was 104 EMS calls last month with an average response time of 5 minutes and 5.84 minutes. 52 times our ambulance had to leave to go to other towns, 10 to Egg Harbor Township, 29 to Pleasantville, and 15 to Summers Point. The longest time that we had to wait for an ambulance was 17 minutes because our ambulance was already at the hospital with a patient and they had to come back and get another one. They didn't know the ambulance was available to cover it for us. We asked other towns to provide EMS service 14 times last month. Outside of EMS, the Office of Emergency Management is in the process of planning the required drill. The drill takes about 18 months overall to plan. We are in the phase of we're doing an active computer situation due to the security of the event. We're not going to disclose where or what it's going to entail, but the tabletop exercise will take place next week with the full-scale exercise to take place later within the year. And that's pretty much all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Little League, I made the comment last meeting, I believe that Little League and Babe Ruth seasons are getting underway. I was a little bit tardy this evening. I had to drop my daughter off for the first clinic for softball. So that season has started. April 4th is the official start. I think I announced those dates last meeting, but I'll repeat them here. April 4th is the official start of the Little League season, but their opening day is April 9th, and we've all been extended invitations to attend. That's a busy day for us, I know, with the Purple Heart Way. And also Northfield Mothers League will be sponsoring the Easter egg hunt this year at Birch Grove, so that's all on that same day of April 9th.
Cultural
So,
committee.
And there's also a flea market.
Flea market,
That's it, the flea
yes.
market. That's correct, on April 9th.
On
Is
April
that gonna
9th.
be a first group too?
That'd be at
That'd be at
Northfield
the
Community School.
school, yeah.
Full day of activity in Northfield.
it's my daughter's 16th birthday too, so.
And mine.
Your 16th?
No, my 52nd. I almost forgot.
I attended the Northfield Community School meeting this past week. And in addition to all the announcements and awards they give to their students, the big announcement was they ended the mask requirement. So this was the first week without requirement for the mask, making it mask optional as of March the 7th. So as of yesterday, really. So that was the big item there. And shared service, did we set a meeting for the fire?
No, don't talk to
That-
you about that.
Okay. All right. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilwoman Bucci.
I'd like to start by offering my condolences to the Beatty family. They lost their son Kyle 2 weeks ago. He's a 27-year-old young man that grew up in our community. As far as my committee reports, I don't have an update on insurance and safety. Library meeting is this Thursday, the 10th. And as far as the Municipal Alliance, I'd like to remind everybody that on March 26, 2022, obviously, there's coffee with a cop at the Good Shepherd Church between 12 and 2. And that's sponsored by Northfield Municipal Alliance and the Northfield Police Department.
Thank you. I just have from finance, obviously, we're in the midst of budget season. We have a meeting this Thursday. So I'll have more updates following that. The senior citizens group, we have not met yet. But as things are now more relaxed and meeting spaces are starting to open up, we'll be looking to do that in the near future. Moving on to the ongoing topics. Did you have any, have you heard back from any of the state or?
I didn't hear back from the state, but I heard back from the county. They sent me all the maps for the entire drainage system within the city of Northfield. So I'm gonna go through the maps and highlight the drainage mains that we share, and then we'll move forward with that. I'll share that with the
Okay.
council next meeting.
Any update, Councilman Atara?
Fire truck? Same, yeah.
Okay. And I believe there is an update on or did you hear back from the?
We were supposed to have
on
a
the-
call today.
She didn't make it?
No.
No, okay. So there is no update on the auction of
Auction.
property. And any grant information either? Nothing? Okay. All right, then let's move on and we'll, if everyone can refer to your agendas. Approval of the minutes, Councilman Leeds, Councilman Utz. Resolutions. Is there any resolution? I'm sorry, before we start that, let's, one topic to discuss is we have a resolution to add to the agenda. It's it's concerning the shared courts. Yes.
Is this time sensitive?
Yes.
If there's any extras there, you can give them to Craig.
Yes. You got it? Thank you. I have one. It's just for budgeting purposes, since we're sharing court with several cities within the county, this gives them the ability to reevaluate or I believe it is to have a budget bank so that if 1 year you're over, 1 year you're short, they can meet their budget, figure out how they're going to assess the shortage or what to do with the overages. But it was something, I guess, that was not in the original resolution or in their original proposals. So we need to put that on. It's been reviewed by our CFO as well.
Chris, do you have anything to add to this? Did you?
I looked at it, as Tom said, Dawn looked at it. It largely deals with a surplus budget funds that are, I guess, retained by the court for a certain period of time and applied to the next year's budget. I did speak with the mayor. He did vote in favor of it in the governance committee for the court. And he said that any surplus would be distributed on a pro rata basis.
Mhm.
So he didn't have any problem.
All right, we'll add that to the consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent that anyone would like pulled from the consent agenda or any discussion?
72. I think something of that magnitude should be handled by itself.
Okay. And that's normally when there's new, someone that leaves, we do memorialize it, but obviously there is
It's nice to do by itself,
there is a
Good call,
different
Eric.
situation this year because of
Yeah.
his passing.
for sure.
Okay, so the resolutions, Councilman Notaro, and Councilwoman Bucci, with 72 set alone. And 83 added, yes, thank you. Ordinance 4, Councilman Utz and Councilman Smith. Ordinance 5, Councilman Smith and Councilman Leeds. Ordinance 6, Councilwoman Bucci and Councilman Utz. Payment of bills, Councilman Leeds and Councilman Notaro, and meeting notices, Councilman Utz. At this time, the meeting will now be open to the public. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on any subject, we ask that you please state your name and address for the record. And we ask that we observe a 5-minute limit per speaker, as I imagine we'll have a few speakers this evening. You raise your hand first. Go ahead. Head of the class. Please come to the podium if you would. Do we need a microphone there?
Oh, here, get it. Here.
You need to state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Anthony Joseph Pellella. My address is 521 Fay Avenue, Northfield, New Jersey. I've been a resident for 32 years. Okay, my concerns right now, out of one of 8 of you, can somebody please address the issue on the bicycle path with the lights? They're out for over a month. I've been calling, nobody answers the phone. Does anybody do their jobs? My second concern, listen, I'm going to get thrown out of here, believe me. And I don't mean that, I don't mean to insult, no. My second concern is you just put a halfway house in the back of my house. Directly, I want total security, okay? You could have heroin addicts back here. We have kids. Why, there's a public facility down on Dolphin Avenue. Why can't you let these people go there? Is this all about money, the bottom line?
No.
No?
No,
No,
it's not. To first address your first issue,
Okay.
the lights on the bike path, I know that they've been out. They fixed them once. The electrician is due coming to come back again. They were working, and
All right.
obviously
I
they broke
appreciate
again.
that. Yes.
So that is, and again, your one concern you didn't mention is that you didn't get a call back, and that you should get a call back.
I never,
So-
I've been calling for over.
I'll
3
give you
weeks
my,
now.
I'll give you my card and my number.
Nobody answers the phone, nobody does their job. I'm 67 years old. I
Yeah.
still do drywall. I still go out in the street and work and pay taxes.
I'll,
And I don't mean to holler here, but I'm very upset right now, because I'm gonna tell you what, there's a halfway house, okay, in back of me. Now, listen, I'm gonna tell you what, let me put one next to your house, and then we can put one next to mine. We got young kids here. Are you serious? Are
And-
you serious?
and what I'll tell you about the halfway houses is we don't get notified that there's going to be one going in. I'll tell you that right now, that it's, the city of Northfield has no knowledge or control of those. The only time we do find out that there may be one is if there's any construction and they put a permit in.
Sir, you.
They are also,
Okay.
and this will help to educate everybody that we've been educated as well, as this issue has came up last year with another neighborhood. The residents of these, in this particular case, I believe it's a sober living home. It's not a halfway house. It's not a court ordered. These are people who are going there voluntarily to get well. And they are protected by the American Disabilities Act. They're protected by federal law. We as a city
And what are
cannot
we
regulate.
protected by?
We as a city have we can't regulate. They're not regulated by us. We regulate this, we regulate the home to ensure that they meet and follow all of our building codes and all of our rental codes or what have you. But the Department of Community Affairs is the organization, the government organization that oversees these homes.
All right, sir, can I say something?
Absolutely, yes. I just wanted to answer your question.
12 o'clock, directly in back of my, I got young kids. Now I got to deal with heroin addicts, okay? Because if it was up to me, I'm going to tell you, get in the way you got out. I've been through it. My family's been through it, believe me. Okay, now I got to deal with this. There's kids here. I don't want to, I'm getting upset. Now I got to deal, I want total security. I want a fence on my property lines right there. I want a fence, and I'm holding the city of Northfield responsible. If I got to go get a lawyer, I'm getting a lawyer. That's what I'm not threatening nobody here. I'm not here for that. I'm a taxpayer. I pay just like you guys.
Yeah.
Except I don't make six figures. All right? That's the difference here. And this to me is about money. That's all it's about. It's about this guy that bought this property. Does he care about how? I don't think so. What I do think about, he cares about the bottom, and that's the way he makes his money. I want total security. I want cameras, everything. And that's what I'm very upset. I'm sure some of these people in here are too. They got young kids. I don't. I could pick
Yes.
up and leave. I could just leave, pick up and leave. And if I comes, I don't want to do that. Like I said, I've been here 32 years. I pay my taxes like everybody else. But really, we get treated like second-class citizens down at it. We really do. And I hate to say it like, but it's the truth. They brought a curb down all the way, they stopped it. Instead of coming all the way down when they did the roads and all. We get treated terrible down at it. And I don't know why.
The curbing on what,
On Fay Avenue, they brought it
Okay.
all the way down, they came down and at a certain, they just stopped. I just don't understand things, you know what I mean? And I pay taxes like everybody else. And I am getting upset, and I don't mean to insult nobody here, but I gotta let my point be known, okay? And I'm pretty sure I'll be surprised if nobody here that has kids ain't concerned about this. Because now I'm gonna tell you what, the real estate value in that area dropped every house for 100,000. They want to compensate me, go ahead. Give me the 100,000 that my real estate just dropped. Who's gonna buy a house with a heroin home next to it? And I'm all for people getting, all for heroin, believe me, I'm all for that. Okay, but really, the property value just got destroyed. I feel like I'm more prudent. I got hit with a missile. Excuse me for venting, but I have.
Is that your phone?
I'm sorry, it was just one person. Oh, no, you know what? You did raise your hand prior to the, yes.
Thank you very
I'll
much.
try to keep track of who's, but we'll try to give everybody a chance. I know.
City Council, I appreciate you guys having this on the agenda tonight. I want to thank the person who brought this to the council. And William Schminke, 132 Independence Trail, Egg Harbor Township. Lived in Atlantic County my entire life. Again, my name is William Schminke. I'm the co-founder with my wife Tammy of Stop the Heroin organization. To give you a little history, my wife and I started this organization About 2 weeks from now, it'll be 6 years that we lost our son Steven to a heroin overdose. As we see my grandchildren right here, we've been raising them for the past 12 years of their life. My wife and I just, decided after my son's death that we were going to help people, help people in his memory, and our thoughts and prayers were how we can help the people who need it the most. And we decided that we were going to help people that are coming out of treatment with nowhere to go to help them to the next step in life. Because what happens to, most people that come out of treatment with no place to go, they're going right back to where we're back to where they start. So we started to help raise money to help people get into sober living houses, not only local, throughout the country. We've had recovery walks on the boardwalk. We've been an extremely large voice in Atlantic County to keep this conversation going, because it's one that's been needed for a long, long time. So I came here, a reason that I want to speak because the address of the house was posted on social media yesterday, which infuriated me. And it was taken down, but I'm solely speaking for the Stop the Heroin organization. No other organization, no other sober living houses in Northfield or in the community. So I'm only going to speak on what we do. And I'm here with hope that I can connect. We're here. We value the concerns of the community. That means a lot to us. We want to be accepted. The people in the houses want to be accepted. There are home guests or house guests that help us. Majority, probably over 98% of them, are people that come directly from treatment, that don't have much in their life at all. So we help them. We kind of help them get back to life by giving them a safe, accountable, non-judgmental environment, so they can get to that next step. So they're not hanging back on the corners. They're not going to get high. They're not going to. And that's our goal. Our homes are run very, very strictly. We have management. People have curfews. They get up every day and they make their beds. They're either working or they're out doing community services. I know there was some concern about cars. The unfortunate part, when people are coming out of treatment, with the Home Depot bag of everything that they own, they don't have a car yet. But we help them build to that, make sure that they are moving forward, again, through accountability. We use cameras inside, outside the houses to make sure that the people in the houses are doing the right thing. We have 10 homes throughout Atlantic and Ocean County currently. We're an extremely well-respected and well-referred organization for recovery homes throughout the state. We do everything by the book. We do it as far as the DCA is concerned. We are, our goal is to keep people off the street, keep them from dying, but keep them in an environment. We can point them in a direction because we require recovery when they come in. They sign a 14-page contract of what's expected of them. They have curfews. Nobody sleeps in the houses besides the people that live there. It's not a party house. Okay, that's not what it is. And I know a lot of community members may think that, that's what it is. We have an impeccable record of not police coming to our homes. We really try to blend in. We have homes in extremely very beautiful neighborhoods throughout Atlantic County. If you go to our website, stoptheheroin.org, you can see them. Again, we work very hard. We care. We're a family who started an organization to help people that will not experience what our family has been through. And our blessings are the people who come through our homes and walk out that door to a better life. Unfortunately, it's not always perfect. I'm not going to say work, but we are in an environment of, a high relapse rate. Everybody knows that. But we got to give, I wish my son had the opportunity to go through one of these houses, and he did not. So, that's our goal. And I know people I want to add, if anybody has any questions of how we run business.
Is this particular home yours?
It is.
Okay.
It is. That's not the only reason we're here, because we're now obviously advocates.
Obviously, you've done.
Not all of them, but again, we're here, but the house in question on Pine Street is ours. That will be opening probably the next couple months.
Okay, if I could. Okay, and then I would like to try to let other people come up to the podium.
Absolutely.
Okay, Well, then we'll let you stay over since maybe you'll answer a lot of questions.
Yes, absolutely.
Again, I want to give
everybody.
everybody a chance to speak, but Councilman Lutz and then,
Lloyd, how do you ensure that your residents maintain sobriety? What happens when they don't?
Okay, so again, we're all about the accountability part. We have a district house manager. His name's Chris Hauser. He's with us today. He looks over all of our men's houses. Again, through as they check in the night, we hold them accountable by doing the right thing, by making sure that they're going to meetings, make sure they're attending intensive outpatient program if that's what they were suggested when they left treatment. Drug testing like crazy. The cameras in the house, the other people that's in the house. So that's how we enforce the accountability part to keep them on the right path. If they don't, again, they sign a 14-page contract coming in. If they do not adhere to that contract, whether it's from curfews, not making their beds, taking milk from somebody else, which is stealing, after a certain amount of leeway, we ask them to leave if they cannot follow the rules. And of course, if someone relapses, they have to leave the house right away. Now, we don't give them a bag and say leave. We take them to the place where they need to be, whether it's treatment, which of course is always the first option that we would like to see them take. And our organization is an extremely resourceful one with connections to the community through the Sheriff's Department, Hope One, Atlantic Care, where it's fortunate that these days we can make a call and get someone to treatment the same day. And that's amazing, because when we started this 6 years ago, that was a dream of ours, is to see when somebody makes that decision to make that change in their life, that there's an open bed and an open door for them. And at that point, there was not. So, if someone relapses in the house, they are asked to leave. If they don't want to further the recovery, we get them to a safe place through family members or where they need to go. They are grown adults. And that's how we handle them situations. You're welcome.
Yeah, I just had a couple questions. Your organization, I think you answered this question, owns and operates sober living.
That's correct.
And are you licensed? to
We
do
are.
that?
Our houses are DCA licensed. Absolutely.
So you're licensed by the state of New Jersey
That-
Department of Community Affairs?
That's correct.
And what is the process to get licensed?
So,
In family?
So the house has to be a single family residence. And we have an application process through ourselves, which is already approved through the state of New Jersey. We have to have a live-in house manager that we put on the application. All these fees are paid through the organization. And as long as, so then the house is inspected through the DCA. Square footage per, for, one or two people in a room, windows, window heights have to be all, approved for, exit, yeah. Exit windows. So as long, and, we know what we're going into. We know what we're doing at this point. We know the homes that we're going to be moving into that will comply with the DCAs. Yes.
So the DCA process, is that a process that is used for each home?
That's correct.
Okay, once you get your blanket license for your organization.
That's correct.
Then you go ahead and license each home.
That's
and that
correct.
Goes through an inspection.
Yes,
with DCA. Okay, so I'm assuming, you sound like you're knowledgeable, but you're familiar with the rules and regulations, both state and federal.
Absolutely.
What is your interaction with the city with respect to an individual home? And I say this with much respect, but once we're licensed with the DCA, as long as we know the house the house itself falls out of the jurisdiction of the city as far as compliance with remodeling, license permits and stuff like that. So once we're licensed in a house, if we want to change the roof and we need a permit, we don't have to go through the city any longer. We go through the DCA, and we apply for the permits there, and they do the inspections. So in your experience over the past 6 years, there's little to none of oversight by a municipality.
That's correct. That is correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilman Smith.
Mr. Schmicky?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for coming, attending, give us some insight here. A couple of quick questions. One regarding not the population, but the numbers in terms of how many residents might be in attendance or living at
Sure.
a home. So maybe you could address that and maybe in particular with this Pine Street home. And secondly, is there any, with your other experience, previous experience, is there any community outreach in terms of the neighborhoods? How do
So
you
to answer
handle
your
that?
second question first, no. So, I mean, we make sure we want to fit in. We work extremely hard as an organization to blend in with the neighborhood. I'm sure if this wasn't, if this wasn't brought to this today and it wasn't on social media, many of these residents would have never known we were there. You know, we have policy of no smoking on the front porch, you know, so we do so, but it's not like, you know, these are grown adults that are trying to get, that are there because they choose to be, because they want to further their recovery. You know, so that we don't have any, you know, there's no need for us to have a you know, community policing of the house, so to speak. You know, we're confident in the way that we run things, that things don't get out of hand. It's not a party house. This is not a place where people come and get high. This is a place where people come and get recovery. There's not cars parked down the middle of the street at 2 o'clock in the morning because of the curfews of, you know, the curfews of the house. There's not loud music that's going to be going on because it's not allowed. And your first question was again, I'm sorry.
Just about the numbers that might be.
So the DCA, you know, depending on the size of the house, and of course, all bedrooms has to be measured square footage to have, you know, have so many, you know, certain people. We always put 2 people in a room because of the accountability and to relax isolation. So the DCA allows up to 11 people in a house max. If the house was 13 bedrooms, you're still getting 11 people in it. This house will hold 11 people. You know, and we'll have 11 people in there. Every one of our houses have 11 people. Again, if you want to go to our website, look at the size of our homes. You know, you know, they're very, you know, they're sizable. Again, so, you know, and each person in the houses help each other person get through their recovery. You know, they become accountable to each other also, which helps each other. It's the whole goal here. You know, again, you know, if I have to reiterate, the goal is to, when they walk out the door for the last time, that they're moving on to something better in their life.
I'm sorry, thank you.
No, it's like,
When you say that you have a house manager,
that's
so there's
correct.
someone that lives there full time,
So-
that's an employee of the organization
No, the
or
person,
how?
no, he does not live there. He looks over all of the houses for Stop the Heroin, which he's there daily, you know, and he's, you know, he's on camera. He spends a lot of his days and hours, you know, on camera watching, make sure people that come in, they check in at night, they call. This is Chris Hauser and Ashley Hauser. Ashley, she's the manager of our women homes, and Chris is the manager of our men's home. They spend so much of their time. All of the people in all of our houses call them every night by 11 o'clock and check in. It's a requirement. They have to check in every single night when they come home. So that's how, again, that's how we hold them accountable. So, again, we do our best to, again, never perfect. But we really try hard to keep them going forward. Again, this is a free will decision that they're making to come to our house to want to help themselves move forward in their recovery.
You said 11 people per home.
That's
Now,
correct.
when you do the construction work, are you adding bedrooms to these?
No. We'll find a home that's existing to be able to put. Sometimes we modify with walls or nothing that we've never had to build an extra room on. We've always been able to work within the home that we chose. Again,
So you're partitioning off other rooms to add space?
we have done that, yes. If we have to, if it's if there's an extra, say, room in a basement area or a bi-level downstairs area that was a sitting room, and we want to, make that an additional, two-person bedroom, we'll put a wall up on the door.
The home, what was the address of the home?
517 Pine Street.
Try not-
So everybody here knows it anyway.
Let's try not to overstate it.
Pine Street, yes. Yeah.
So the Pine Street home, is that a 3-bedroom, a 4-bedroom?
So it is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's a 5-bedroom home, correct. Yes.
So it meets your requirement.
It absolutely does. But I mean, we wouldn't have,
You're number 2. Okay.
we wouldn't have picked it if it was not. Okay, so, but again, we try really hard, and I'm here tonight too, and I would love to speak to as many, concerned, community, residents.
Well,
Absolutely.
this is going to be a big chance.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
wait,
is.
one more
I'm sorry.
council person. Hopefully we'll answer someone else's question and then we'll.
You said that they call and say, hey, I'm home.
I am.
What's to stop them from leaving after they call?
So, okay, so that, again, Chris spends many of his time. You want to answer that?
My name's Chris, Chris Hauser.
Chris,
So
do me a
how,
favor, just come on
yeah,
up
go ahead.
to the microphone,
I'm-
also provide your name and address.
my name's Chris Hauser. My address is 614 Ohio Avenue, Absecon. So what happens is the gentlemen, as they check in, we have cell phones. They have a geofence around them, so it makes sure that the phone stays within the perimeter of the house. So they can either call or they send a picture stating that they're home every night. So every morning when I wake up, I go through all my text messages and voicemails. And then also we have camera systems. So I individualize each house and then I make sure that nothing outside went off at 2 in the morning or 1 in the morning. And if it is someone going outside, then I will call that individual, find out what is going on. If they did leave the house, the first time they'll be put on a contract, or they'll have a 9 o'clock curfew, et cetera. And if they do it again, they will be asked to leave, just to make sure that they are following the rules that we have. Sorry. Anything else?
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Anthony Sperano, 519 Fay Avenue. My backyard shares the property line with the property. First, let me premise with, I think what you do is a fabulous process, idea. I'm sure everyone in this room has either personally dealt with this, had a family member or a friend. We all know what goes on. My questions are not about what your intentions are, but logistics that are kind of a question almost for the whole group here. There's going to be 11 people in the house. I know the house very intimately. They were our neighbors prior to the people that you bought it from or whatever. I was in that house 100 times. I used to actually own the land. So it only has parking for 3 cars, 2 in the driveway, 1 out front, because it's a dead end street and only has 75 feet of, not even 75 feet of frontage. My point is, maximum that you can maybe put 4 cars out there. So the question is, how many of these fellows have licenses? They typically have a car. They probably don't. I get that. Do you have a professional landscaper, maintenance person that comes and keeps the property neat and clean? What's the turnaround as far as typically, are we looking at maybe 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, a year? Is it revolving door in and out? I'm throwing a lot of questions at you. You'll answer them, okay? If it's somebody that's in there for a
Or
3 to
else.
6 month stint, I understand it. That's more stable. I get it. If it's a situation where you got 11 guys and they're flipping out each month, in and out, in and out, that's maybe not a good thing, okay? As far as the neighborhood's concerned, the 5-bedroom house, at max, that's 1,800 square feet at the most. The 3 bedrooms upstairs are tiny, tiny. I know downstairs is big with a bathroom. Okay, so 11, there's no house manager. Our concern, the neighbor's concern is property maintenance. Nothing crazy going on the weekend. I mean, during the week. And I know they're kind of like a patient, so there's like kind of like a patient confidentiality kind of a thing, and you can't answer this, but I'm just gonna throw it out there. Do any of these, because it's all men, of course, right?
For that house, correct.
All right, so do any of these men have, and you can't answer, I'm just throwing it out there, other than just some kind of a substance abuse issue? Is there anybody that's just maybe come out of the incarceration system that was in there for, they might end up on Megan's Law list? Those are some, so these are all the types of concerns. I'm digging in a little deeper. Okay, so I think I've answered or I've asked what I'm looking to ask, and I guess you'll answer the questions.
Thank you.
Can I?
Yes, please. Yeah, I mean, you have the answers. I certainly can't answer any of those.
As far as we do have a lot of questions that we ask people that are coming in. And we do have, we're not going to really reveal what, the certain questions that, there will be people that are coming from jail, absolutely. It's part of the process. So I mean, it's part of what they go through as interactive addiction. I don't know.
have probation officers?
If they do, yes. So if they're on probation, they will have a probation officer showing up. They know that, some of them come from the ISP program, which they have 6 o'clock curfews. Just kind of hit me back with some of the questions. A landscaping, absolutely. Again, if you want to go to our website, stoptheheroin.org. Excuse me?
I saw.
Yes, yeah, they're beautiful. We take a lot of pride. You'll see the transformation on Pine Street. As we go, it'll happen very quickly with paint and and landscaping. Again, we take pride in our homes. It's important to us to provide that, the home inside and out, and for our house guests. Again, to keep them.
Parking.
Oh, yeah. Longevity. Listen, I'd love to sit here and tell you that everybody's staying for a year and a half, because that's really the time that we believe that they need.
What's an honest, not that I'm gonna- but what's an honest estimate of some other homes, then how long they?
We would like to say that it's closer to the 6 months, but we've had guests that's been with us for 2 to 3 years. We've had guests that come in, they put themselves down and kind of bus for Atlantic City, and that they never come back. So, so that kind of, and I'm being very, very, very to the point with it. That happens too. Thank God it doesn't happen that often. Again, we're dealing with people that have chosen to come into a recovery house because that's what they want to do. If they wanted to go back out and get high, they wouldn't be called. If they were able to go home to their parents, they'd be doing that. But most of them bridges are already burned up. And again, this is the reason why we do what we do. Because of the lack of, when people come back, I'm the father of an addict. Okay, I'm well aware what families deal with cheating and stealing in line. So we understand that. I can't tell you how many parents that me and my wife have spoken to that just say, they ain't coming here. Okay. So, again, so we help, we give them that bridge.
The whole premise of what you do is.
I appreciate that.
I heard everything to say anything about what. That's not so many of the issues. All of the just things, understood them all.
So if you want to add that?
So the average from what I've seen in the men's house is about 80% of the houses stay pretty solid with a group of guys who stay anywhere from 6 to 8 months.
Full capacity usually.
Hit or miss, right now we are. And then there's about a 10 to 15% that do kind of flow in. But that 80% holds the house to the standards that we keep. Those guys.
I understand.
Guys who are trying to do this. And some of them fall in line. Some don't fall in line. Well, this is the thing. In my experience with all of our houses, we rarely have any issues with any numbers. Like Bill was saying, we don't, not that we don't want you guys to know who we are, but we don't want you guys to be like, oh, it's that house. You know what I mean? That's why we keep the outside very nice. That's why we keep the guys to the rules that they have.
Yeah, they don't talk about the 20%.
Well, I mean, this is reality where we live. Like, I mean, this is the world right now. So yes, there are guys who do not stay and make it, but when they do not make it and they are asked to leave, we'll take them out of here. It's not like back to back.
No, we're not gonna run into.
There's nothing to run into, sir. There is nothing.
I'll try and be concise. Tom Glenn, 609 Pine Street, and I'm sorry, Mr. Schminke. At the beginning of the meeting, there was something regarding the planning board where I didn't quite catch hold. A medical facility was issued a continuance because of a public outcry. They were seeking a D variance, which because they want to build in a residential neighborhood, it's not allowed without a D variance. This is And, in regards to, Northfield Avenue next to the Methodist Church there. this was also the same organization? Not at all, not at all. Completely different. This is an actual medical professional office that Okay. is trying to be built. Sorry, I thought I was just trying to see what was up with that. This whole process is completely unfair, in my opinion. This was slipped in, literally heard about it about a week ago. Mr. Schminke, you are a state sanctioned nonprofit, I believe?
Correct.
Okay, so how much you guys are bringing in, is this public information?
Absolutely.
Okay, how much?
it's kind of irrelevant to you.
No, no, it's not. You immediately took down my property value.
You're welcome to see.
Every time that I gotta get a security system, and I apologize.
Listen,
Please don't
we
bring
can have
kids.
this conversation here civilly, or you guys can
You're
continue
right.
this conversation outside with Chief Newton.
I
right? So
apologize.
we're either gonna do this the right way, or we're gonna do it the wrong way, and Chief Newton's gonna get involved.
It takes money to run these places.
It's not
There's an
irrelevant.
electric- There's an electric.
It's not irrelevant. It's quite relevant.
Okay, well, I'm not saying it's, if you want to see that
It should be sitting right here on a page.
The public record, you're welcome to go and look.
What good does this bring to the community? There are kids all the way around the whole neighborhood. There's gonna be cigarette butts at the minimum.
It won't. Policy of ours. And I'm telling you, it's about the policy of ours. We
This
don't put up with that. We really don't.
You slipped this in
We didn't slip it in. We did everything within our legal right to open up this house.
without notification?
We don't have to.
Why?
We asked the
So
DCA, Chris Christie put this into law, 5 years ago.
How much are you bringing in a year? How much are you bringing in a year?
Again, if you want to.
Please tell us. Please tell us.
Sorry, sir.
I can assure you that you make more money than I do a year, sir. Okay?
No.
I can assure you that. Okay? If you're working, I can assure you that.
Yeah, I'm working.
My wife and I, raising my granddaughters, we're extremely modest people that live very modest.
Where's the closest place to where you live? Where's the closest place to where you live? Where's the closest group home to where you live?
We have 5 homes in Egg Harbor Township.
How close to where you live?
I could walk to the closest one to my home.
Is it down the street from you?
Yes, it is down the street from me, sir.
It is.
Yes, it is.
It is. And if I can say one thing, and this covers so much. Granted, there are recovering people, recovering heroin addicts, alcoholics that are living in our house. But believe me, that everyone in this room is sitting and has a neighbor that's a recovering alcoholic or a recovering addict. Everyone does.
So I'm
Okay,
self-proclaimed.
This is not the.
Not
this is-
recovering.
This is not the only community.
But
in the
working,
world
paying
without
taxes,
recovery.
and not getting into trouble.
We thank you for that.
Thank you. Ms. Gary.
Alicia Gary, 202 St. James Place. I'm going to take a little break here and address something else. I will get back to that though. But as at a previous city budget workshop, it was suggested to use the funds from the American Rescue Plan Act funding for the improvements, upgrades and additions of equipment, pickleball and basketball courts and other items. The city received $439,000 from ARPA. I think the money should be distributed throughout the town, not in one specified area. There appears to be a discrepancy, as I'm going to have to agree with a previous person that came up here, Anthony, on how improvements are done in the city with lesser attention and funds on the north side of the bike path from Tilton Road. What improvements have been done to the bike path? How about for holding back water back and the aesthetics? Complete the curbing on Fay from Bates to Dolphin. When was the last time any improvements, upgrades, or additions done at the First Street Playground? There are only 2 old benches there, and there's so much, and there's no mulch as the playground area floods. The equipment is old, and there are only 2 swings. As pickleball is enjoyed by the older population, why not have put the courts in the lot by the First Street Playground? No congested parking and away from the park. These funds could also be used to directly reduce the tax rate. Is council proactive with a projected plan for projects for Northfield in 5-10-year plan? Or is it whatever is of personal interest to council members at the time, not the entire town? And again, Anthony had, I think, addressed about the bike path. I did speak to Quinn. I knew there was an electrical problem.
Somebody else before Anthony. But
Yes, and
yes.
as the lights have been out for over 3 weeks, it's very dark there. I don't see any increased presence of anything there. It's very dark. I see people walking on there, so it's very, very unsafe. So that's that part. Now I'd like to address this issue. I'm in full support of sober living houses. I do believe there is an appropriate location for these homes. This Pine Street house is not one of them. It is at the end of a street, the house being the dead end and surrounded by single-family homes. This house is a different class than other sober living houses with a Class F license and called a cooperative sober living residence with no on-site services such as counseling. This house is licensed by the state and can have a maximum of 10 residents, as you said, 11, who come directly from drug or alcohol rehab with an owner operator on premises additionally. I had thought that someone stayed there. This many residents will increase traffic, parked cars and congestion. This is not a typical single-family occupancy. The street is narrow. We already contend with cars pulling into that area of the house. I saw people doing it just yesterday, okay? Pulling up straight to the house. You're in the street. This is not parking, okay? And they back up, run through the stop sign, right through the intersection. It intersects at St. James. There are small children. There are people with pets. They don't even look. Somebody's going to get hurt. And number one, you don't reverse down a street. Okay, so this is my biggest concern. Also, if there was parking on both sides of the street, on that small portion, it would be a very tight 3-point turn that you would have to make to exit. No emergency vehicle would be able to make it through that street. The street is not a throughway. On the other side of the street, the back of the house is at a dead end too. So this is a very unique situation, the way this house is situated, that you come up to it, you just block right into it. So like I said, my concern is, as you said, the residents don't have cars, but how do they go to meetings? How do they go to their jobs? Do they have sponsors that come? So this is what I mean by increased traffic, okay? Which is, it makes sense, that's gonna happen, okay? But, what's gonna happen with the traffic there? You have two very small houses, we have a lot of small children, and we already have a problem. People come up the one-way street, they come right through that intersection, and they don't stop. There's signs there, nobody pays attention. We wait to see if somebody's gonna, just really, something's gonna happen. So that's my biggest fear. I also, in addition, would ask that council reach out to our legislators. At one time, there are two bills that were sitting out there that did not get passed, did not get through. One was due to COVID. Other legislators who are no longer in office were the ones working on it. And what this would have done would have been to limit the number of sober living houses and locations allowed in any given municipality. I'm not saying that what you do is not good. I'm just saying that just as it's a business, okay, that there should be limits within your town. We have whatever population in Ventnor, there's 25. In Northfield, there's 11. Okay, so figure it out. Okay, how many is too many? Like, do you just keep allowing it, and to say that you can't do anything at the municipal level? Okay, there's always something you can do, always. And if you say that that's the law, you're right. But you know what? You can change the law, and you got to work hard at it. But like I said, we have to work together, okay? And like I said, I totally support the sober living houses. I totally do. But again, it has more to do with what is being brought into, not the residents, but the amount of congestion and traffic that's coming into the area, how that's changing, okay? Because we have a lot of small children. On the other side, down the street, there's the playground. Okay, so there's a lot to address there. And if you don't smoke in the front yard, you smoke in the backyard, right? But there's kids over on that backyard.
There's kids, and if anybody, there's backyards that are joining with others.
Right.
I agree with you. That property is in that weird kind of situation, but so if we need to change the front of the house to provide proper parking, we will do so. Change locations. Well, that's not gonna happen.
Come on up.
But
again, like I said, like I appreciate, I solely support what you do.
Mrs. Scary.
okay? But again, like I said,
Come on up.
there's a limit.
Gentleman in the white
You
hat.
just can't keep opening up houses around all the entire neighborhood. We can't do
Yeah,
that.
that's fine.
We
Then
can't
next.
open a business.
There's a
So,
woman over
but
there
what I
who
would have
stands
liked,
for not-
I wish we had known, it could have been a little
Over
bit
there
more
who stands for not,
transparent.
sir.
I think would have avoided
Okay.
all this.
Right after,
okay?
And
right after
behind
this
you,
gentleman.
the one behind you.
we didn't
Okay.
make the laws that the
Right,
DFA put in
The one in
place.
the
I know
the
that.
blue
Just
shirt.
follow them.
I know that, but your laws
I need to go.
are different than a sober living house.
They're not.
Sir,
You are a cooperative,
Mrs.
sober
Scary.
living
We're different than
residence.
it's saying Oxford House.
please, we need to let some other folks get a
Okay.
chance to speak. Thank
Okay.
you.
Ooh, first timer. All right, my name is David Hayden. I live at 217 Franklin. My house is catty corner back to the house in question. I'm a father I've lived on this, in this neighborhood for 6 years now, 6.5 years now. One of my main concerns is, first off, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am in recovery, going on 14 years, sober. All right. I have taken the next step and I do interventions. I do family interventions. I've done hundreds and I don't charge. All right. That's my gift back for giving me a life. Our neighborhood is full of children. And when I heard about this house over a week ago, not on the internet, word of mouth through the neighborhood, you were there. I got sick to my stomach. Most houses in Northfield are surrounded by three other houses. This house touches 7 properties. 7 properties. There's a lot of kids back there. Where I live, I'm at the dead end street of Franklin Avenue. My house and the playground right next door is where most of those children congregate, on that street. My other big issue, I had no problem with Stop the Heroin. Anybody knows Stop the Heroin knows my name. I fell in love with the Schminkies right after their son died, and I sat with them, I cried with them. I was on the news with them, crying, holding his wife. I love you guys. I love what you do, but this is about house placement. This is the worst house to put a sober, whatever you want to call it, sober house in. And most of these residents are going to be heroin addicts, and everybody knows heroin has the recovering heroin addicts. Heroin has the least amount of recovery, success.
Where'd you get that from, dude? Come on. No, they're not.
Please.
That's horseshit. I'm sorry.
My personal experience. There's not a family that's not affected by drugs or alcohol. I know that. I hear it every day. I'm on the phone with it every day. They're gonna have people out back smoking. Yes, they've got a 2nd-story deck, which overlooks all 7 properties. They're gonna be smoking out back. They're gonna be talking. And I know I've been in hundreds of recovery homes across the country to talk to people that want recovery. I know what goes on. There's language. Yes, there's smoking, whatever. My main concern is the language. All these kids, I have kids as young as 4 years old. I got a 2-year-old that's coming down watching what the kids do. We have over a dozen kids in that area alone. I've had 22 children in my backyard at one time, from 2 to 12. I'm begging you. This is the last place a house should be. I'm sorry, man. When you told me, you knew how it was going to hit
you come
me
up?
too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Marilyn Lynch, 521 Pine Street. I am the direct neighbor to Mr. Schmecky's home. And before I continue, I'd like to tell you that I myself am a recovering heroin addict. I have just under 10 years clean, but I'm going to read this
Right.
to you because this is it's very hard for me to even, it's all very triggering for me. My husband and I purchased our home on a small dead-end street called Pine. We love it there, being there's 0 to little traffic. This was important to us, being we have a 6-year-old daughter with multiple disabilities. I am concerned about the property currently, which I thought was pending sale at the end of our street. 517 Pine is the address. I was told by the new owner of the property that he bought it for his son and family. He also told me he was considering purchasing 519 Pine, which resides between our home and the 517 property. I recently found out this was not true. 517 Pine is apparently being gifted by this individual to an organization called Stop the Heroin. They run cooperative sober living residences, which is a Class F, as you know, which differ from sober living homes. Now that we know who is really moving next to us, we looked into the organization, and I am happy you've answered some questions today, but they are pretty vague when it comes to answering questions. There is little to no information on their website concerning their house policies. We would like some more transparency from the organization as to what they are actually doing with the property and if they are purchasing the home next to us as well. I was told they turned single-family homes into apartment-like complexes for individuals recovering from heroin addiction. The property has 0 to little parking already, so I don't see how this is possible. How can, which I thought was 10, and now I'm learning is 11 men, can comfortably live in a single-family residence coming directly from rehab, and now I've learned jail, without any oversight? Will there be drug testing, curfews, transportation to NA meetings, for example? Is there any ordinances in place for homes like this one? Will there be an on-site manager, which there won't be, except on camera, overseeing the residents to ensure their safety and the safety of others? We chose to live in Northfield because of the great school for our daughter. We love our small street and the neighbors who also live on it. Pine Street is a safe haven for our children with the First Street playground right around the corner and little to no traffic. If the current owner easily lied to me, how do we know they're not lying about their intentions in our town? How many homes such as this one will be allowed in Northfield? We love our home and now we have to consider selling it because they have not been upfront with their intentions. I have nothing against sober living homes. I think they're a great way for people recovering from the disease of addiction to acclimate back into society. A cooperative sober living residence, class F though, sounds like something else entirely. Will this new residence follow the same ethical standards put in place as other sober living homes in the area? Because to me, it sounds like they're not.
You want to be more specific, let's, and
Can I say something, sir, please?
congratulate you on your recovery
If you can
first.
come up and
We've
state your
answered,
name.
we've answered questions of our policy. We don't need to put our house policies that's directly committed to our house guest on our website because it's not, it's only between us and the guest. So I'll be more than happy to answer. I pretty much told you how we run things at the house. You never spoke to me personally anytime about the intentions of the house. So you and I never had a conversation about anything.
No, I talked to someone else.
Well, that's fine.
Said they
Wait, it
purchased the home.
wasn't me. I think you were kind of implying that it was my organization
Well, it was
that you were
yesterday.
talking to. But you and I never had conversation.
No, I did
So,
not.
but we'd be more than happy. We just told you about our policies in the house, in the contract that they signed of how, I don't know.
Lisa.
You visited our website. What's not
Lisa.
transparent about it?
Lisa's too.
You know,
You're giving coffee sheets and things to say when people are at the most vulnerable
Sir.
points in their life.
That's
One second, 1 second.
No.
Please, please. Let's be civilized here.
My
Ma'am,
name is Tammy Schminke. I live on 132 Independence Trail in Egg Harbor Township. I would like all of you to know that every house that I have is set up for my son to walk through that front door and not live the rest of his life. There are brand new beds, brand new furniture, brand new sheets. Every dish, every toothbrush that goes in that front door is meant for my son. This is the reason I do this. I live in a rental property. I drive a car that's 10 years old. Okay? I am not getting rich by any means. I am looked down upon and I am ridiculed and I'm talked about behind my back because I'm backing those drug addicts, those people. And you all seem to forget that my son was one of those people, and God willing, and I mean this with all of my heart, you people will never be in my place wearing my shoes.
We all have memories.
Sir.
Okay, no, this is my turn.
If you want to be recognized, you come up and speak in front of the council. You're not to interrupt anybody else again.
So for you gentlemen and ma'am, for you to know, you are more than welcome to come to any of my homes, talk to any of the guests, look through all of the rooms. They're provided with coffee, creamer, sugar, food, donations, anything and everything that we can give them to help them in their recovery. They are given. There's never loud music. There's never a party. These people are literally fighting for their life each and every day. Every day. I lived through 6 years of hell with my son, walking the streets, wondering when I was going to get the call or someone was going to knock on the door and tell me that my son was dead. And thank God, there's 107 people today that their parents will not get that phone call. These are my granddaughters. Their father will not walk them down the aisle. And I've raised them for 12 years now. We are not getting rich. We are not doing this for fame or fortune. We are doing this to help those people because we couldn't help my son. I didn't understand his addiction. I didn't know what he was going through. Why couldn't he just come home and get it right and do the right thing? But I now understand that this is a disease of the mind. He had no control. And without the right tools, which he was never offered, he could never get right. These people come here and they live with other people that are living through the same thing every single day of their life, the same torment. They go to meetings together. They work this 12-step program. They volunteer in the community. And yes, they smoke cigarettes and maybe they say a cuss word or two, but we do not allow any of that going on. No loud, no music, no loud fighting, no nothing. Okay, I have 6 grandchildren and I raised 3 of my own children. And whatever would not go on inside my own home will not go inside of my recovery homes. And I'm very sorry that we upset this community the way that we did, but we're only doing good. And yes, I can walk to my closest home. I can walk there. And I do. And I sit with these women and I listen to them cry about how they've lost their children and how their parents won't even look at them. These are human beings we're talking about. Let's not forget that these are human beings. Thank you very much for your
Thank you,
time.
Mr. Schmacky. Sir,
Yeah, listen, they're not pissed off.
sir,
about
please, sir.
Cheeto Dowd, 117 Lee's Lane, originally from Meridian Drive, and my parents live on 605 First Street. It's how it was snuck in. First of all, how many family members can live in a single family dwelling? You're bringing 11 families into a single family home.
Yeah.
Well, look, 11 different names,
Kids don't stay there.
Sir,
11 different
you've
names.
heard him indicate that that's not
Yeah.
controlled by us, that's controlled by the
Well,
DCA.
but it is controlled by you.
No, it's
Northfield decides how many people live
No,
in,
no.
you can have 15 families in a single family house in Northfield and nobody,
If
When you
somebody
have
has,
a Class F license that allows you to have 11 people in a property, yes.
okay, how's Northfield Fire Department feel about what this is
You
gonna
have to
be?
ask the Northfield Fire Department.
Well, you
we don't
guys,
have,
you guys have to be thinking about this kind of stuff. I mean, this is the same, they went on in Atlantic City.
and
where they just
our only
took-
option, as Mrs. Gary stated, our only option is to petition our legislators in Trenton to change that rule. And
But you
federal,
don't, none of you people are thinking about 11 bedrooms inside this small house. What's gonna happen when it catches on fire? These firemen are gonna have to go in there and try to find these people. And it's
Yeah.
11 families, I don't care what you wanna say, within 500 feet of a park where my grandkids go. Do you guys think about any of that stuff? Really? 500 feet from a playground? I can see it's falling on
Yes.
deaf ears.
we're discussing.
But I mean, this isn't decided by the Northfield Fire Department, doesn't get a chance to say, wait a second, this shouldn't happen.
They are, the Division of Community Affairs covers that. They make sure that that they're safe. As Mr. Schmagley said, I'm sorry, Schmicky, as Mr. Schmicky said earlier, they check to see that there is adequate exits for people in case of an emergency.
Okay, the front
Again,
door,
it's all
back door.
Division of Community Affairs. That is their,
There's 4 exits to that house.
There's windows in every house. They have to be certain
Right,
size.
but still, when a house
But
has
we-
a fire.
we address everything we
They
can.
went to a lot of fires in these
Lisa's
houses
next.
that were cookie cutted up
Again.
and people
Lisa.
can't find their way out and the fire can't get in.
We have smoke detectors in every room in the house, every bedroom, every room, and all integrated throughout the house. That's what,
Do you comply with the DCA regulations?
absolutely, we're licensed by them.
They
come
can't.
against that.
Atlantic City, it stopped it.
Then contact the DCA and register a complaint if you think they're in violation. The problem.
Well,
is-
I'd like to see somebody here bring this to the fire department, that there's gonna be 11 bedrooms in a single family house.
It's not 11 beds.
Not 11 beds.
It's gonna be 11 beds, not bedrooms.
So what, you're gonna have two,
two people per room.
Yes.
He-
all right,
I don't know if you were here. He said that earlier.
It is wise to let. them
You're a
know
builder.
that.
You know what I'm talking
I
about.
know, it is wise to let them know that, just so they know that there's 11 people in that home. And that, I mean, that's a good, just for safety purposes. I mean, the fire department's not gonna change the law. They're not gonna change.
No,
the
but they can change
But
what's
they
going
can-
on.
Um,
They have their right to
only-
do
They
that.
only can provide service knowing what they're going in. You know, like firemen, it's great to have the knowledge of what they're gonna be faced with. when they go into a fire. So if they know there's 11 people in that home, that's great, because now they know there's more people in there and so forth. So, and that is good for them to know. But as far as the changing any laws, it'll never happen. We would have to
And
petition.
to
you would
piggyback
have
on that,
to
the people
petition.
that are going to change the laws are the people that pass the laws. That's the state of New Jersey. That's not the city of Northfield.
Yeah, but it's our town. It's not
It's your state.
Trenton's town.
It's your state.
It's Northfield's town.
You live in the state of New Jersey.
I understand that, but
Okay.
Northfield,
You
people
elect
pay
people to
taxes
make
to
the laws that we
Northfield
live by.
to make decisions for Northfield, not
This is not a
Trenton.
Northfield decision. That's what we're trying to.
Why
do.
isn't it?
Because it's governed by the state of New Jersey. There's a hierarchy.
They
Local,
supersede
state, federal. It's their laws. So the issues that many of you are having are not with the city of Northfield. They're with the state of New Jersey. Contact your assemblyman. Ask for change. Ask them to change the law.
And-
That is not something.
And
we can do.
truthfully, how long ago did Northfield know about this? Because we're all finding out about it within the same week.
I learned about it yesterday.
Yeah, same.
But you heard, there's no oversight.
But I'm not on Facebook, so my wife told me. My
I got
wife
a
told me
flip phone,
yesterday.
so you're not
My wife
on
told me
Facebook.
yesterday because she saw it on Facebook and then told me that I'd probably see a lot of
It
people
just seems like it was
tonight.
snuck in,
I learned
you know,
I learned about it 6:10 PM.
Okay, Lisa, Mr. O'Dowd,
I said it was snuck in.
Mr. O'Dowd, well, the next person speak, please. Thank you.
We would love to have that relationship with the fire department. You know, I think that you have. It can make my house get any more safer, absolutely.
My name is Lisa Eachus. I live at 4206 Dolphin Avenue. I just moved there. I lived at 15 Leslie Lane in Northfield, 30 years. Tom, you know me.
Yes,
Other people may know me. Bill, I love you.
You too.
You know me. Lisa, you know me. Okay? Anybody else in here that knows me? I lived in a residential area, a beautiful neighborhood. 10 years ago, I lost my child to an overdose. I live with it every day, hence the tremors, because my heart is broken every day. This saddens me for one reason only, is because everybody here is so quick to say, and I'm not here to argue with anybody, Bill, you know me. We want people to get well. We want to see people succeed, but not in my neighborhood. I raised my son in my neighborhood. He was raised on a block with 22 children. He suffered from a disease. About the heroin, I would have loved for him to have been able to go into sober living, but unfortunately it wasn't brought to the forefront 10 years ago. He was able to go to rehab. I will be in debt for the rest of my life, but that is a decision I made as a mother. Had he been able to take the second step or the third step and go in to sober living, he may be here. I think what's making me sad about this is people are living with substance abuse issues. That does not make them robbers, rapers on the Megan law. Did my son have a record from being in jail? Yes, and he did 6 months for stealing a candy bar because he was hungry. I didn't understand it like I understand it today. I love my son. I've been in the mental health field for 25 years. I work with people that live with mental health issues. And now I work with dual diagnosis. I am a recovery specialist. I've been to Bill's homes. I just wanted to say my piece. I raised a child that lived with substance abuse, and I was your neighbor and your neighbor and your neighbor and your neighbor, because we're all neighbors here. These individuals are doing right by being given the chance to try to get their life back on track. I love these two little girls. I have a grandson that doesn't have a father. I'm looking at you, I'm not directing this at you. You know, sometimes you just pick a face and you think that you can.
You've been looking at me the whole time.
But
All right, Lisa, thank you, Lisa. Lisa,
But anyway, do I understand about the children? I do, but I don't, because we live in an age today where it's me. This may be an opportunity for you to teach your children compassion and not to always be afraid. So I'm just going, thank you for letting me speak. This is,
thank you.
it's painful, but should I just end with something? Okay, so I want to end with, I spoke with my son today about this. He said, everyone lives in some of the most comfortable environments you could live in, but still find reasons to be afraid all of the time. Mainland kids are dying of drug overdoses left and right, but no one will lift a finger to actually help these people while they are still alive.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to me, and thank you.
Hey, good evening, everybody. My name's Kevin O'Dowd. I'm from Kennett Square, Pennsylvania. I was born here. I grew up, graduated from mainland in 1980. I'm here on behalf of my father, Eugene Charles O'Dowd Sr.
Yes.
Has lived at 605 First Street since June of 1963. I grew up, I know every inch. I landscaped that yard. Mr. Long used to pay me 50 cents to mow the grass and lay right there. I'm not giving you that. And everybody, I think you feel it, everybody, we get it, all right? But there's a sense of unfairness felt by the taxpayers, the people that have been there. It's not anybody's fault, it's certainly not your guys' fault, but it's not the fault of the people that live in the neighborhood either. And they have a legitimate concern and they have legitimate gripe because it feels like it was snuck in on them. I don't know what the process is. And there were some questions here. I'm just going to throw out a couple of things. So I was looking at AmericanAddictionCenters.com. They had some specs, some numbers. And basically, you can expect a relapse to occur at approximately 50% of individuals going through recovery, anywhere from 40 to 60. Only about 40-some% of the people who go through rehab will successfully complete. So we're not going to get 100% of them. What you're doing is awesome. we're worried about the ones that are gonna fall through. And it's not like it's not, you know, we're all adults here, you know. We're gonna have some failures here, and that is a big concern for the people of the neighborhood. I think the sentiment from a lot of the people in the neighborhood is that 517 Pine Street is not the right place for this facility. When you look at the New Jersey drug-free zone, it's, you know, that's a totally different context, but they give out a number. They use 1,000 foot from a school or a playground. And I walked it off. It's about 500 feet from, and yeah, I think you heard that number. And that's a good number. It's 500 feet from that property to First Street and Franklin Avenue, a playground. I grew up, I mean, I played there. Well, it was a bigger playground when I was a kid. And, you know, there's a lot of concern about this facility being that close. We talked about it's a free world decision for these folks to come in there, and that's the right thing. Not a free world decision for any of the taxpayers and people to accept this. And there's something wrong about that. And I think the city council needs to own a part of that. I think you need to step up. It's about fairness, okay? And having multiple facilities come into the town and they're just, you know, all of a sudden they just pop up or people in the neighborhood finally find out about them. Doesn't sound like the right way for something like this to come in. It's just not, there's a lack of fairness about it. I wonder, are there limits to the number of facilities like this in the city? I don't know. Is there any recourse for the city? I don't know. I think there should be. And I think you guys, you know, you say, hey, you know, call your congressman or your assemblyman. I think there needs to be some leadership, and we need to set up some fairness because these folks need help. We all want them to have the help. But we need to do it in a way that's fair to the people that go out and pay their taxes every day. So many of the folks here, you know, they're feeling that this facility is, well, some might say reckless. At the very least, it's just unfair the way it was cited there. It does impact folks' property values, and that's, you know, the sense of unfairness. So I'd like to know, can someone on this body outline the actions, if any, that will be taken to, you know, take into account the proximity to the playground on First Street in Franklin, and, you know, what recourse is there for the property owners? You know, what can you guys tell us? What is our recourse besides go tell, you know, your assemblyman? Because
Well,
that doesn't seem to really be fair. Thank you for
As,
listening.
yes, as they're regulated by the DCA, we can contact the DCA and have them ensure that they're running a safe home for the residents. As far as the proximity to the school or to the park, it's, you mentioned drug-free zone. Well,
It doesn't apply to that. I know the law.
but they're drug-free. I mean, that's semantics, but they're not supposedly.
50% are gonna fail.
And then there'll be,
They're getting high in the house.
but they'll be going away. But again, we absolutely, listen, we all are residents, obviously, of town as well, and we don't have any notice prior to the home's opening. We don't even know that they're there until they're there. The same as you. The reason I didn't find out is because I don't live next door to it.
Yeah, well, my
So,
father does.
Your father does, yes. I've met your father. So, again, what can we do? We don't know, but
Could you
the
take
only
an
thing we
action to think about that?
And as I said, Mrs. Gary put a good point, that maybe we can ask our legislators to change the rule in Trenton to regulate it, or to
There
give
needs
cities
to
the
be a
opportunity to
citing
regulate.
process. This is totally.
Well,
the Wild West.
that is the only in not having a chance to discuss this other than with everybody here. I'm thinking out loud, and that is the only thing I can think of at this point. Do I think that they're doing an unbelievable job? Yes.
We all do.
But
Is it the
at
right
some
house,
point,
the right place?
it's
That-
never going to
it's
be
just-
for the guy that's next door. So,
know
I
it
mean-
Fits into all the rules. I
So-
get it. It's not
does,
the right
and the
place.
proximity, I've heard people talk about that, we're only a couple blocks away from New Road, we're only a few blocks away from Shore Road, where public transportation is a huge advantage to people that are in sober living houses because they lack transportation. So.
There's a lot of places you can be that aren't necessarily.
Mr. Gary?
But we deal with property that's available.
Thank you, Mr. O'Dowd.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I'm obviously, you are right after Mr. Gary. I know you got up, but he's had his hand up. He had his hand up before you.
Bill Gary, 202 St. James Place. I came in and I was going to talk to you about traffic, and I was going to give you street widths and turning radiuses and all that, and I'm not going to do any of that because you've heard it all. I'm going to give you a little bit of an education. Egg Harbor City has made municipal zoning laws changing for sober living communities. It's type F housing for sober living. In 2017, the Division of Consumer Affairs, they made these rule changes. And this gentleman thinks he doesn't have to comply with anything that's in the municipality. You need to inspect his houses. He needs a certificate of occupancy. And the DCA says in number 22, the enforcement of municipal zoning ordinances is outside the state jurisdiction. Enforcement of local zoning ordinances lies with the municipality. The Department of Community Affairs is unclear as to what other municipal codes might apply, and then they cannot comment further. They don't take away your municipality's rights. So tomorrow, guys, somebody get on the phone to the DCA. Maybe Don Guardian has some phone number, because if it's busy, it's busy, it's busy. But somebody on this body can get through to somebody and say, I need this explained to me. And I'm reading this, and this whole thing that took place to give these people the ability to do this expires on the 25th of March of this year, 5 years. And then their whole premises of, you don't have any say on what we do. You have no say, that's what they're saying. You don't have no say.
No, we didn't.
I did. I said that.
We only follow the rules that the DCA.
No, we're not.
You spoke,
sir.
When you spoke.
Yo, Bill. Yo,
When you spoke.
Bill.
All right. Before that gentleman, we'll come back to this conversation. Told you what he's doing today. Told you. Got on my face and started yelling. Hey, can we have an even here, man? Come on up. You want to speak? Sir.
Excuse me, come on. We'll have to end it if we want to give everybody a chance to participate. But if we have to clear the room, we will, and we'll just end the meeting. Thank you for waiting.
You're welcome. Jessica Murphy, 399 First Street. I had like no time to prepare. I didn't even know what to expect here, but I felt I owed my children to at least come and just say my piece. So I wrote something and I'm just going to read it. And I'm not here to argue or tell me that, my perspective is incorrect, because we all have our own, right? So I want us to imagine a time where things were different. A time where you were able to go outside and play freely. You came home when the streetlights went on and rode your bike to your friends' houses. Imagine knocking on your friends' doors to see if they could play. No play date arrangements, no helicopter parents. Imagine a time where kids were allowed to be kids. Although this may seem like an archaic concept, this time is now. My name is Jessica Murphy and I live in the 400 block of First Street, located directly across from the First Street playground. On the end of First Street in Franklin, just in a little circle, there are 11 children between the ages of 6 and 10. 3 of them are mine. And that doesn't include, I see some of my other neighbors here. I didn't even include those children. These are children that are in my life daily, that are able to experience childhood the way most children, unfortunately, don't get to experience it, the way most of us probably all grew up. I felt that it was important to paint that picture first so everyone can understand who would truly be affected by allowing a recovery house to be run at 517 Pine Street. I don't want to be misunderstood, and I also don't want to be interpreted as inconsiderate. If I had to guess, almost everyone in this room has been directly or indirectly affected by addiction. I commend anyone trying to take steps to better their lives and try to save themselves. It is not a simple task, and along with sobriety comes a lot of work. I applaud Northfield for being open-minded and giving people a second chance at life. I know this is not our first recovery house here, right? As I mentioned before, I'm sure a lot of people in here have seen firsthand what comes along on that road to recovery. There usually will be falls, but we remain optimistic that people can persevere and find peace in their hearts. Sometimes the journey is long and difficult, and sometimes that journey ends abruptly. The tenants that would be residing at 517 Pine would be attempting to walk down the road to recovery. There's no possible way to know what could, would, and will happen, but it's important to stay in the realm of reality. If these people were to mess up, where do they go? Sneaking out of the backyard, hiding at the park to use and leaving paraphernalia behind is 100% within the realm of possibility. It is not far-fetched. It is not absurd. It is possible. That being said, I'm finding it extremely difficult to understand why anyone would think having a recovery house right near a playground is a good idea. I don't care about where they're parking or if they want to go for a leisure stroll on a nearby bike path. I don't care if 20 people are in that house. What I do care about is the safety of our children. Just to reiterate, I'm not opposed to recovery houses. I appreciate the attempt to battle an epidemic that doesn't just plague Atlantic County, but the entire country. I really hope you will reconsider the placement of this recovery house to somewhere else that does not overlook a playground designed for 2 to 12-year-olds. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I'd like to address that it could be her neighbor who could be leaving needles. It doesn't have to be a recovery house that could be here. And we're not here to shove the rules of the DCA down anybody's throat. We're not. That's not our purpose. We're here to explain what we do. So the rules of DCA, people have asked questions. We've explained. We've answered the best that we can do. But we're not here to shove the laws down anybody's throat.
Thank you.
Hi,
Sir.
my name is Joe Lynch. I live with Marilyn, my wife on Pine Street. One, I'd like to apologize for speaking out of turn, and I'm sorry to you for nothing. And, I wanted to say I'm sorry for the loss of your family. I think it's great that you guys are doing things in the field and all of that, and at least you're doing something positive, right? That being said, this seems to be like a big fear thing. So we all have children. We want to protect our kids too. So that's where a lot of this is coming from. I don't think it's personal, and that's really all I wanted to say.
And thank you very much. And just to address that, we've been doing this for 5 years. We've had recovery houses. We have them in neighborhoods as yours, and beautiful neighborhoods. We've never had any issues. We've never had anybody, any of our house gets attack a child or leave needles outside where even a neighbor had to call the police for any reason. I mean, seriously. And maybe one time since we've been doing this, we had the police come, to the house because of disturbance, which listen, probably, I'm sure everybody in the room had police at their house at one point for the same reason.
Well, I want to say that I've also lived it, and so the fear comes with heroin. It's really hard to trust somebody that's addicted to heroin.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, you're gonna put 11 on, like, literally, like, right there. And like, I have a 6-year-old disability, so I mean, it's not to say like, you guys are horrible, but that's fear. So it's like, I don't understand why you guys don't reach out to the community, be like, hey, just a heads up, like.
If we were required, I mean, like, no, this is the first any opposition in any community that we've opened a house. Again, we have 10 of them. We've never had to go to a city council and address, but we appreciate this. We really do. I was really happy that because we want to be the good neighbor. We truly do. And all I can say is within time with the people that are in that community, you're going to see that we're good neighbors, that we're going to take care of the property, that we're not that they're not going to be people shooting up heroin in the front yard or smoking and walking up and down the street. The properties can be maintained. The houses are going to be protected. And you're going to see that we're just another neighbor, and our guests are just another neighbor to you. We have many in our friends' houses. that have grown fond and friends of the neighbors where they go and take their trash out for them. We have a house on Burton Avenue. I'm sure you know that. The men in that house have reached out to help neighbors over and over and over again, where neighbors bring them food for dinner. So that's the environment that we try to move forward into the house. Not that everybody's sitting around falling out, it's not, people work. There's not 11 guys sitting in the house.
Thank you.
Everybody's out working and coming and going.
Thank you, Mr. Slinky.
The other houses don't touch 7 properties.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
My name's David Trelona. I own 2 homes in Northfield. One of them is at 501 Fay Avenue. And it abuts this property. My backyard abuts this property. My family has lived in this house for 72 years. 72 years in this property. I've been a taxpayer in Northfield for 45 years. I have the utmost compassion for this family. I don't think there's a person here that doesn't have compassion for what this family has gone through. But there's a time and a place for everything. This is not the place for a house in this neighborhood, as you've heard, that is predominantly families with young children. And I'll add another group, elderly people. A lot of elderly people live in this neighborhood. Why are you putting our neighborhood at risk with the most vulnerable people in our society? I've looked at your website also. Your website says that Johns Hopkins has done a study, and it says 90%, this is from your website, 90% of the people who go through this addiction relapse. 90%, that's 9 out of 10 people. There's going to be 11 people living in this house. Now, on the website, they say that their numbers are better, 50%. So 1 out of every 2 people will relapse. Those odds are too high for this neighborhood. I applaud the work that they're doing. Choose another neighborhood.
Can you tell me where? Can you give me an idea of where?
Sir, I'm not here, that's not, I'm not here to debate. I understand.
It's just the whole not my neighborhood thing
Sir,
about it.
sir. I know, but it's, that's
not here.
We know that, and that's not constructive.
I'm not here to debate which neighborhood, but I'm here to defend my neighborhood
Thank you.
that we've lived 72 years in without an instance like this. Let's not wait for something to happen. Let's do what Mrs. Gary has said. Some good proposals. Let's strengthen this with some laws from Trenton. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Statistics of 50%, 60%. Well, you know what? Everyone that walks through our door deserves to be one of that percentage that makes it. Every single guest.
Sir.
My name is Daniel David Jones. I go under Dave. I grew up in Northfield. I lived on Franklin Avenue. Got married when I lived on Bowie Terrace, a block and a half away.
Bowie Terrace?
Bowie
Address.
Terrace.
Bowie Terrace.
314 Bowie, Boye Terrace. It's a block and a half away from where this is. I've had 5 kids. We've grown up. One of the kids had a drug problem. We took care of it. He recovered, and I have a tremendous amount of passion for you and what you're doing. But to come into this neighborhood, why didn't you bring like 15 or 20 neighbors from where you already have a house to share with us? Instead of hearing you defend everything that you're doing and everything that you're doing. And it's not that I am totally for what you're doing. But to walk in and get, hey, guess what? Tomorrow you're gonna have 10, 11. I mean, I lived there, I grew up there, and I'd like to know what you guys feel about it. Where do you live at? Would you like that a block away?
Again, I don't live there, no, but yes, I understand exactly what you're saying.
Okay, and I believe everybody that's here feels the same.
Obviously it's
it's just
difficult. Obviously, we're all sitting here in a very difficult situation because we want people to get better, but we don't want them So we are trying our best to figure out how we can have it work within the city, since it's not something that's going to go away because people are using. Mrs. Bucci just mentioned someone that passed away last week. So two of my friends' kids have just died in the past year. So I know what's happening, and that's one of the steps that can fix this. Maybe, I don't know, maybe nothing, I don't know. Again,
I just
this
hope
is
that
all
we're
new,
not
this
here in
meeting,
2
but yes,
years
I
and
will work with,
everybody's-
we'll do what we can to keep everybody safe. That's our job.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rich Harden, I'm at 613 Pine Street. Grant Street. Everything I think has been covered except the security thing. You say you have a house manager, but he's not there overnight. You have cameras. You only have cameras in so many places in a house. You have to respect privacy at the same time.
Correct.
So who's to say without someone there monitoring this, they're not going to go in the bathroom and do something and then, wander around. Once they're stoned, they're not going to be thinking right. And I live a couple houses away, and my son's older, so I'm not as worried about my kid, but there's a lot of little kids that run around
So
my
that was
neighborhood.
one of the 11 that lived in the house. There's 10 other guys that are in that house that are gonna help him stay accountable.
Yeah, well, it's in the middle of the night,
No one's gonna go in
when
the
there's-
bathroom and get high and try to walk out the door unnoticed.
What about when they're in the middle of the night, there's someone who's sleeping and not
So
paying
that could be
attention?
anybody's house.
And
So
you got
that's-
a guy that's not
All right.
watching the cameras. You got a guy that's gonna look at the cameras in the morning, to see if anything's happened that night. We're the ones living there all night.
Phone rings in the middle of the night.
It's a very possibility, but it's a very possibility there's another guy living down the street doing the same thing.
Yeah, but it's not 11 put in one house down the
Just saying.
street. You keep saying everyone knows
You guys are
someone,
coming up
there's a
with these
neighbor that
what
might
ifs
have.
that are-
Okay.
Well, what if
That's-
that's where we live?
All right, that is a main concern. That is a good concern, and please take that into account.
Yeah, maybe put
Always.
security in the house around the clock instead of just a couple hours
Again,
during
there's
the
nothing
day and then
critical
looking
that
at a
goes on in
camera.
the house. It's not, so people don't have to be monitored 24/7.
You're also saying 50% of them don't make it.
Don't make it.
So you have that opportunity, and it's very probable it could happen. And we're the ones that are gonna suffer in the neighborhoods of our houses.
That's
our
not true.
values.
You're not gonna know. Someone has a relapse in our house, you're not gonna know. So you're not gonna know. We're gonna be asked to leave. We're gonna get them into treatment.
But that's after
You're
you
not gonna
find
know.
out, you're gonna
They're
ask
not-
them to
Someone's
leave.
not gonna get high in the house and come shooting up the neighborhood. It don't work that way. Okay? They walk away. Most of the people that relapse pack their stuff and leave the home. Okay? Because they know the rules of the house. Okay? If we know that they get caught on a random drug test, or any type of suspected drug test, we pack them up and help them get to the next safe spot. Again, please take our experience and what we do. If we were not a reputable organization throughout the, because we have amazing relationships through treatment centers throughout the state. And, our houses stay full for a reason, and that's because of the reputation of what we do, what we offer to try to help people.
Can I ask you one question? What type of interview process is there for the residents that get selected?
So.
I imagine there's a waiting list. If you're buying homes.
At times there is, and, but so pretty much all the phone calls that come in through treatment centers will come through myself, Chris, or Ashley. And we have the list of questions of, what you're doing, certain medications, and they're not even controlled substances that we don't allow in the house. Certain sleep meds, we don't even allow. A medication that you've heard gabapentin, it's not even a controlled substance. We do not allow in the house that people have abused that. So we're very tight on what, on what's allowed in the house. So we ask them questions. And, it's all about, when we talk to them, we test their will, we see where they are and how, what they want of their next step in their recovery. So it's not just, we'll tell everybody, we're not a boarding house, we're not a hotel. Don't expect that, don't expect that when you come to our house.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
That's our concern.
Good.
We have someone there.
Is there anyone else? Oh, well, if anybody else that hasn't spoken,
Anybody else that hasn't spoken?
Is there anybody on Zoom
There's a lot of people.
that wishes to speak?
Yes.
Oh, well, we're gonna let the Zoom folks state their concerns.
All right, so the very first comment, Tammy Record, if you're still there, I've asked a couple of times, you need to state your name and address for the record, please. Yours is the first comment, and I realize you have more than one. If you state your name and address, I'm happy to call on you. While we wait for that. Eric Carrier, 606 West Mill Road. He would like to know how many homes does Stop the Heroin have in Northfield? And
This will be the third.
is 650 Hollywood Drive one of them?
No.
That is not, and this will be their third, and that is not one of them.
Mr. Carrier, did you hear that? If you could
Thanks for
comment in Zoom that you heard that, please. I'm sorry, Mr. Schmicky, how many did you have in Northfield, did you say?
Three.
This was the third.
Third, thank you.
That's correct. The town. That's nice. The people that have, that were supposed to, close proximity to public transportation and employment opportunities. That's huge for us of where we did choices, where we open up homes.
Okay, Renee Carfagno, 27 Fifield Avenue. You mentioned a house manager oversees the mail houses through a telephone, but they do not live within the house. When they wait for public transportation, they are within feet of bus stops where young children are also waiting. What supervision is in place to protect children?
I think from what you,
I don't think we can pose every question.
yeah, I think that once they're out of the house, that they're not under,
They're subject to regular law enforcement rules and regulations.
yeah, and, yeah, we did, and he did mention that they don't live in the home.
There is a manager that's in the home, but he's the phone call that Chris gets. But Chris is the one that seriously overlooks the houses to make sure things are enforced through the camera systems, through the check-ins, as he goes through the houses on a daily.
There is or there isn't a
Yes,
manager?
there is. So, yeah, there is. There is.
One of the residents
That's correct. That's correct.
is a manager?
That's correct.
The president of the house. So one of the people that are, one of the residents are president and they're responsible individual.
Everybody takes that role in the house. It's not just not one person.
Okay.
Because when one sees another one doing the not right thing, Chris is notified.
Okay.
Mr. Schmidt, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Is there a contact name and number that the resident here and the residents in Zoom can contact if they have any questions, comments, or concerns?
On our website, on our Facebook page, I can see you right now. My phone number is probably 609.
Sure, they'll all write it down.
609-892-4582. That's my direct cell phone. It's always on. We appreciate it. Excuse me, 609-892-4582. You know, we just opened up a house on Maple Avenue. And we had some concerns over there where even some neighbors came up and told the girls that live in the house, women's house, that we don't want you. But you know, I got many calls from neighbors, and it was a great opportunity to give, to let them know what we do, and it does seem to help a lot when we get an opportunity. So the stigma and the perception of the houses are not, I'm not gonna say, listen, I only speak for Stop the Heroin Recovery Homes. We know that there's throughout the state, throughout the country, that they're unacceptable. It's up to the
God bless you.
state to regulate them. But yeah, but we we try our hard, and it's important. And again, we don't have issues with neighbors.
Have you had any other, has there been in the other existing homes in Northfield, have you ever had any issues with neighbor or law enforcement?
No.
Okay. Okay.
No.
Is there anyone else on Zoom?
We don't have people
Okay.
dragging people out of the house.
We need to sort of get control over this. So am I back to Zoom now?
Back to Zoom.
For the people in Zoom, I will reiterate, if you do not state your name and address, your comment will not be read. For those of you that have written letters and have commented that your letter has not been read yet, you are correct. We didn't get to that yet. All letters that were submitted will be read, I promise you. The next person is Eric Hagenbart, 710 Hollywood Drive. If the house on Hollywood Drive isn't a stop heroin house, what is the classification of the house?
We don't know. I'm sorry. Yeah, sir, we don't know the classification of that particular home. As we mentioned, we don't get notifications.
Can I ask the police department a question?
Can we stick,
When
can we
we're-
finish Zoom? Do you
When
mind?
we're done with the Zoom folks, they haven't had a chance to speak.
Okay. Tammy Rickert, 412 Fairbanks. Is it legal to have a recovery house in such proximity to a playground? And I think she has one more, hang on. How many of these homes are in Northfield? I think we've answered that.
And yes, they are able to be, apparently they are able to be in proximity of the playground since DCA has approved it.
I do know by our experience in Egg Harbor City, it is the right of this, the city, the township, if they want to put in ordinances of distances between homes or schools. Okay, Egg Harbor City has, you cannot have another home within 600 feet of another. And they cannot-
Another recovery home.
Another recovery home, correct.
Okay.
And they can't be open within 1,000 feet of a school. So,
That's one thing we will be doing, so don't buy the house next door because we'll be putting that in
sure.
place.
No, yeah, and listen, we're not into building communities of people.
I can assure you that's one of the things that will come up in
Yeah,
our,
sure. No,
but again, no disrespect to you or any of the work you're doing. It's fabulous.
Okay, for the folks in Zoom who
It'll-
did not hear that answer, they said they did not hear. We don't know how many houses there are in Northfield because the state does not have to tell us. David Long, 903 Walnut. Sir, I see your name and address, but I don't see a question. Mr. Long, did you have a question? I don't see a question from him. Also, to those of you in Zoom, please do not direct message me. You need to make your comments visible to everyone in Zoom. Okay, I believe that's it, except Nicole Edge is one of the people who wrote a letter. She would like to read it.
Yeah.
Ms. Edge, can you hear me?
I can. Hi, thank you. I have been listening all night and I feel for everybody what's going on and everybody's up in arms about it being across the street from a playground. I just wanted to let everybody know that I live in between Mill Road School and Birch Grove Park, and there's one on my street as well. I didn't know that this was okay. I asked questions about it and was verbally attacked on Facebook, and I have a letter and I just wanted to read it. Dear City Council, my name is Nicole Edge. I live on 610 Hollywood Drive in Northfield. I'm sorry that I couldn't attend the meeting in person, but I wanted to voice my concerns. I called into City Hall a few months ago regarding rumors of some type of outpatient facility in my neighborhood. The woman I spoke to not only refused to answer any of my questions, but she was very rude to me and all the other neighbors when we called. She told us that this is a state issue and not to call her back about it. I have recently found out on my own that this house is in fact a sober living facility. I want to make it perfectly clear that I am not against sober living houses. I think sobriety is a wonderful thing. I simply wanted to know the facts about this house on my street. And as a taxpayer, homeowner, and mother, I feel I have every right to ask these questions, and I should not be made to act like a bad person for doing so. This is not a personal attack on people who are currently struggling or who have struggled in the past with addiction. I would just like to know what's going on in my own neighborhood. Some of the questions I did have were, what type of facility is it? We had zero answers. I had no idea what kind of house this was. Is this Oxford style? Is it Stop the Heroin? Is this a Hanson house, etc.? Is this facility allowed in a residential area that's zoned as a single family home? Is this okay in a school zone? I am across the street from the school and Birch Grove Park, just to be clear. Should this be commercially zoned? Are these men or women, are they having background checks done? Is this a revolving door of people coming and going all the time? Is it the same people? I have no idea. Why weren't we made aware that this was happening? Now, I will say, after speaking with a friend of mine who knows the new homeowner in charge of this facility, I feel a lot better. I got a lot of my questions answered. The new owner and operator of the house was very helpful and kind, and I'm happy knowing he's in charge. He told me that he will be personally sending out letters to all the neighbors on Hollywood Drive explaining the type of facility that he runs. I just wanted to say that all this speculation and personal attacks could have been spared. If people were made aware as to what was going on in their own neighborhoods, you know, when you keep things a secret, everybody assumes the worst. I love our town in Northfield, and I hope that we can all work together moving forward. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I think that's it for Zoom, but we do have 3 additional letters that residents submitted and they would like read into the record. The first one is from Raymond DePhillips and Rosemary DePhillips, 301 First Street. City Clerk's Office, a sober living residence is coming to 517 Pine Street. This is not a facility for the parents of this community to have another thing to worry about, that their children are at risk. The First Street Playground is located down the street. Please give this matter your attention. Seniors in the area are concerned too. We have been there almost 60 years. This city was a great place to raise kids. This is Scott and Megan Aspenberg, 651 Hollywood Drive, Northfield City Council members. Thank you to the City Council for this opportunity to voice our concerns today. We love our town and are proud to live in Northfield. We would like to address the recent increase in sober living homes in our community, specifically the one in our neighborhood on Hollywood Drive. We understand and can appreciate these homes and the services they are providing to the people who need them. We have no issues with the individuals staying at these homes and are glad they are seeking help. Our main concern is with the City of Northfield and the lack of transparency and professionalism with how this sober living house was implemented into our neighborhood. When we first realized the house was not going to be used as a single family residence, we contacted the zoning board to see if the zoning had changed for the house. They were not aware of any changes. Then we contacted the code enforcement officer about the code issues at the house. And while he was very helpful, he said the City Hall had informed him that the house had been taken over by the state and there was nothing he can do. Our next step was to reach out to City Hall. The clerk we spoke to was very unprofessional and would not provide any information about the house. We were belittled by that person for even asking questions about a home in our neighborhood. It is concerning that various city employees had no knowledge of what was being implemented in our town. If an area in our city is zoned as single-family residential neighborhood, how can businesses or sober living LLC companies circumvent the requirements and laws of the city? If additional sober living houses will continue to be added to the community, what steps will Northfield be taking to ensure that they will be more transparent about the changes in our community? There are specific laws and regulations for single-family zoned neighborhoods. From my research, a sober living home is not the same as a single-family residence. Thank you for your time and consideration in this matter. And the last is Tony Granieri, 104 Haddon Avenue. To whom it may concern, my name is Tony Granieri, and I wish for this to be read into the record regarding the community sober living residence being considered for 517 Pine Street. I am a Northfield resident. My wife and I own our home on 104 Haddon Avenue. Over the course of the last 6 years, we have been raising our 5 young children inside the home. We spend an inordinate amount of time in our front yard playing with the kids. Our family uses the bike path regularly also, taking trips to the Northfield Deli or just sitting on the benches while the kids ride their scooters or have a catch. One of our favorite things to do is to take a short walk to the First Street playground using the small alley along St. James Place. Our home is located only a few hundred yards from 517 Pine Street. The bike path is closer still, and the path to that playground is directly in line with the address on Pine Street. We have a responsibility as parents to keep our children safe. And for that reason, I am urging the City Council to reject this proposal. These individuals who will be residing in this halfway house are known substance abusers. While I sympathize with their struggles, I simply do not agree that they should be placed in a home literally surrounded by children, and not just the immediate residents in the area, many which have multiple kids. I would say the majority do. But the bike path and playground there draw kids directly to the area surrounding 517 Pine Street. I am a taxpayer, I am a Northfield resident, I am a parent, and I live less than 300 yards from 517 Pine Street. I am massively concerned with having a halfway house in a family neighborhood filled with children. The sort of people that need to live in these facilities have struggled to make good choices in their lives. The last thing we need around our children are individuals incapable of managing their impulses. Let's imagine, God forbid, one of these people are relapsing into drugs or have the urge to, and they decide to break into a neighboring home to steal something to score their fix, a neighboring home filled with kids. Or maybe one of their friends is coming to that house to pick them up. They fail to make good decisions and drive drunk through a neighborhood filled with kids. These might be imaginary examples, but they are not far-fetched. I would say these examples are blatantly obvious reasons for concern. I would also say the City Council is elected to listen to the needs of their constituents. Please listen. This is a bad idea. I don't want this in our neighborhood. It is simply not safe for the kids. And that is the last letter.
Okay, anybody else on Zoom?
Let me see. Eric Carrier says we didn't answer his question. I'm sorry, Mr. Carrier. Hang on a second. Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Carrier also said, can the residents of Northfield obtain a list of addresses for sober living homes?
No, we don't have that.
Mr. Carrier, the council is not, the governing
We're not-
body, the city employees are not made aware of the addresses of these homes. The only time we are is if there is work being done in the home, which requires oversight by the Uniform Construction Code. We do have contact information for the Division of Rooming, House and Boarding Standards. We can make that available if you'd like to reach out to the state.
Thank you. I will.
Are you?
Oh, not done,
the
sorry.
Gentleman behind you.
We're not done in Zoom, I'm sorry.
Okay. One more Zoom there.
This is Chris Paisley, 397 First Street. A parent and neighboring the park. This company has done a horrible job responding to any real questions tonight. The logic to start a recovery house feet from a park and neighborhood that encompasses so many kids is illogical. If this company wanted to be a part of this community, all of us would not have found out about this days before a city meeting. They have not stated any positives brought to our town or neighborhood. And that's the last one in Zoom.
Tom Capello, 2413 Shepherd Circle, Northfield. My question is to you, as of right now, there's nothing we can do about it anyway. It's all in the state's hands, correct? That's what we determined here tonight,
Right.
okay? Sir, I'm sorry for your loss. And I really am, and I'm a retired police officer out of Benner. And folks, unfortunately, I can assure you, if they could put a sober living house on a beach block with $3 million houses, they can put one in Northfield. Until something's done, like we discussed earlier, by the state to our assemblymen and senators. Unfortunately, I wouldn't want it in my neighborhood because of the dealings I've had. But an idea, food for thought, in the meantime, since obviously we're going to be dealing with this for a while, is a liaison leading to the police department. There was a retired officer in another town that worked at Park Bench Associates in Ventnor. He would deal with us directly. And that's how we were able to go in and most of the time, they rattle each other. I don't know, am I wrong? Something happened, someone drinks someone's milk, someone's bike's gone, and when we would call the liaison, he would come down, pack his bags, gone. So.
We would love that relationship with the police department also. Anything that, anything that would help the community feel more comfortable, and anything that would also help us as an organization and the guests that stay at our house. We would love that relationship with the police department.
Okay. I don't see anybody else here that didn't speak, so, sir, Alicia, okay, Alicia's first. He's ladies first. Ladies first, Alicia. Just a minute, because, I mean, you
Okay.
did have a chance to speak.
Alicia Gary, 202 St. James Place. I'd just like to conclude, yes, there is absolutely nothing we can do about your house coming into Northfield. I understand, I think we all understand that it's under state regulation. There is something that at a municipal level, I would appreciate you doing, okay? Take a look at what Egg Harbor City has done.
Yeah.
Look at their ordinances. There are ordinances that you can put into place for the municipality. Okay.
Mr. Sminky told us about
Right,
two, so.
right. And that's what Egg Harbor City has done, okay?
Okay, so,
And then if you could, okay, whether anybody would like to volunteer or help, because you have the better ties to the senators, the assembly, things like that. If you could help, I'm sure we could get a group together, sit down with us, try to help us to spearhead this and get it to, the state level so that we can get it.
maybe we'll do some community event where
Right.
we can have them come and speak to us.
And that'd be
Someone
great.
from the state or the
Okay.
county.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Sir,
Tom Glenn, 609 Pine. This whole thing is, in my opinion, nothing but trouble. You snuck it in. Your whole stance, of course I'm combative. I live there. You've been combative, talking what ifs and whatnot. No, these are wins, man. And then you want to be proactive, introduce it to the neighborhood first. And have you spoken with anybody from the police department? If not, why not?
Again, we're not required.
But you should. Look, you said it before, you're very familiar.
this may be
with
something,
Ryan Cheeseman's deal.
going forward, maybe that's something that will happen with his organization.
I mean,
to
it's
make it a-
one thing
to make it a smoother
someone
transition.
say, hey, here I am.
Okay.
You know?
I think, bro, I think we'd still be at 1% today. And so that's why I appreciate.
All right.
How about putting it in a commercial area?
All right, thank you. Is there anybody else that didn't get a chance to speak from the public?
I'd like to meet you formally and get to know you. Because apparently we're going to be neighbors.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you all. With
Tom.
that, the public session is now,
There's
yes,
one more in Zoom and
with that, the public session is still open for Zoom.
it's Nicole Edge, and I believe this question has been asked and answered several times. What can you do about a sober living house in a school zone where every child goes to and from Birch Grove Park, where all of our children play sports? How is this allowed?
Ms. Edge, we found that there may be some towns that were able to put something in place, and we will and look into that. With that, the public session is now closed. Do I have a motion to adjourn the work session? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you for coming out. Thank you for coming out to answer the questions.
I told you it was gonna be a hot one.
Hmm?
There's nothing you can do. I actually, you know, it's 600 foot. You do? Well, I didn't know that.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Like, you could literally have no. A different type.
Oh, there you go.
No, it's just you.
Good evening. This is the regular session, Northfield City Council, March 8th of 2022. This meeting was properly advertised in accordance with Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, in the Press of Atlantic City on Saturday, January 8th of this year. May I have a flag salute led by Mayor Chow, please?
Please rise. I pledge
pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States
of
of America,
America, and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you give this body the willpower and dedication and to do good for our residents and citizens of this city. And that we also pray for the guidance and well-being of those that are being affected in the turmoil in Europe. Thank you. Please be seated.
Roll call, Mrs. Bucci. Here. Mr. Deweese. Mr. Leeds.
Here.
Mr. Notaro.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Utz.
Here.
Mr. Palestina.
Here.
Mr. Chow.
Here. Here.
Mr. President.
Thank you. Is there a motion for approval of the minutes, please?
Necessary motion to approve the minutes, dispense the reading of them. They're available in the clerk's office and on the city's website.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Mayor's report.
Thank you, Council President. Regretfully, on the, for the February month report, in the Narcon deployment, there were two. One was fatal and one was non-fatal. With regards to motor vehicle stops, there were 6. Property checks were 38. We had, with regards to total arrests by officers, we only had a total of 9, and total citations 103, and DWIs only 1. So all in all, it was not bad of a month, except for the Narcon. But again, I have to give credit to the department for the wonderful work that they do. It's nothing but a credit that I hear all the time.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You said there were 6 motor vehicle stops, but 103 summonses?
I'm sorry, what was that? I couldn't hear you.
You said there were 6 motor vehicle stops, but 103 summonses?
Total citations, there were 103.
Right, but only 6 cars were stopped?
Yes.
Big cars.
Okay.
Engineer's report.
Thank you, Council President. Just have a couple items. The New Jersey American Water Company started the renewal of the water main along Herbert Drive, Shepherd Circle and Shepherd Circle West. They started that yesterday, and they're working 4 days a week. And we anticipate to finish the renewal in about 5 weeks, maybe less. It depends on the weather. And then after that, we have another 5 weeks. They are going to do the new taps into the new main. So within 10 weeks, that old line will be abandoned. And this will help in having this issue with the brown water we're having in the neighborhood. So that's one of the line they're working on. The other item is I've been going back and forth with the contractor for Merritt Drive. We are looking to do the paving the week of spring break, so we don't have to impact the schools because that will take about 4 days to mill and pave the road. So our goal to have it done between Easter and between Palm Sunday and Easter that week for spring break.
Okay.
That's all, Mayor.
Mr. President,
Yes.
if I may, I'd like to, Rami, I'd like to thank you for your fine detail work on especially the American Water project. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the engineer? At this time, we will open the meeting to the public. Anyone from the public wishing to speak, we ask that you state your name for the record and observe a 5-minute limit per speaker.
Does anyone on Zoom wish to speak during the public comment portion of this meeting? Please raise your hand. No one.
Okay, seeing no one, the public session is now closed. Resolutions, all matters listed under this consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and having been reviewed by council will be enacted by one motion. Any item removed from the consent agenda at the request of any council member, I'm sorry, any item may be removed, and if so removed, will be treated as a separate matter. All items requiring an expenditure are supported by a certificate of availability of funds. And we have resolution 72, which has been removed from consent agenda. Is there any other, at this point, that anyone would like removed? And any other discussion? No. And could I have a motion?
Mr. President, I'd like to make the necessary motion for Resolution 70, 2022, 71, 2022, 73, 2022 through 83 of 2022 to be read by title only.
To be voted on by consent.
To be, I'm sorry, to be voted on by consent agenda.
Okay. And we have a second. Do you have to read 83 first, or?
Yeah, I'll read 83 here.
Thank you.
Resolution 83, 2022 is a resolution of the city of Northfield, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey to amend an agreement with Mission County of Atlantic concerning the Central Municipal Court of Atlantic County, whereas the city of Northfield is a party to an agreement establishing the Central Municipal Court of Atlantic County, whereas a governance committee was established, which committee was charged with working with officials from county administration to develop a budget for the Central Municipal Court of Atlantic County. And whereas during meetings of the governance committee, a question arose as to the procedure that would be followed should the actual expenditures for the Central Municipal Court fall below the amounts budgeted for those expenditures. Whereas as a result of subsequent discussions involving various municipal officials, the Atlantic County Deputy Administrator, and the county's treasurer/chief financial officer, it was determined that the reconciliation and offset process more fully set forth in the attached Exhibit A would be utilized. Whereas the council for the city of Northfield deems it prudent for there to be a written agreement which will supplement the original agreement establishing the Central Municipal Court of Atlantic County. And whereas the procedure set forth in Exhibit A was deemed acceptable by all Central Municipal Court participants, now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and common council of the city of Northfield, County of Atlantic, and state of New Jersey that the mayor is hereby authorized to execute the document attached hereto as Exhibit A on behalf of the city of Northfield. I, Mary Canisi, municipal clerk of the city of Northfield, do hereby certify the foregoing resolution was adopted at a regular meeting of the common council of the city of Northfield held this 8th day of March 2022.
Roll call?
All in favor of voting on resolutions 70 and 71 and 73 through 83 by consent agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Could I have a motion to vote for the consent agenda?
Mr. President, I'd like to make the necessary motion to adopt resolutions 70, 2022, 71, 2022, 73, 2022 through 83 of 2022.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bucci?
Yes.
Mr. Deweese, Mr. Leeds?
Yes.
Mr. Notaro?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Utz?
Yes.
Mr. Palestina?
Yes.
Motion carries for the adoption of the consent agenda.
I have a motion for resolution 72, 2020.
I would like to make the necessary motion to adopt 72, 2022.
Second?
Roll call.
Mrs. Bucci?
Yes.
Mr. Deweese, Mr. Leeds?
Yes.
Mr. Notaro?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Utz?
Yes.
Mr. Palestina?
Yes.
Motion carries for the adoption of resolution 72.
Thank you. I have a motion for the approval of ordinance 4-2022.
I'd like to make the necessary motion to approve ordinance 4-2022.
Second.
Hang on just a sec. Ordinance 4 of 2022 is to be read by title only. This is an ordinance amending Chapter 250 of the City of Northfield Municipal Code, Parks and Recreation Areas. This is the second reading. There will be a public hearing, after which the matter will be considered for final adoption. Since introduction, the ordinance has been posted in full in the lobby of City Hall as well as on the municipal website. Any member of the public who asked for a copy of the ordinance would have been provided with one free of charge in the office of the municipal clerk. If approved this evening, it will be published a final time in the Press of Atlantic City on March 12th.
We will now open the public session for ordinance 4-2022 and 4-2022 alone. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on that matter? Yes, you step forward and please state your name or raise your hand on Zoom.
No one?
Seeing no one, the public session is now closed on 4-2022. Roll call.
Mrs. Bucci?
Yes.
Mr. Deweese? Mr. Leeds?
Yes.
Mr. Notaro?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Utz?
Yes.
Mr. Palestina?
Yes.
Motion carries for the adoption of ordinance 4 of 2020.
2.
2022, oh my goodness.
Have a motion to introduce ordinance 5-2022.
I'd like to make the necessary motion to introduce ordinance 5-2022 to be read by title only.
Second.
Ordinance 5 of 2022 is an ordinance for the adoption of the floodplain management regulations of the City of Northfield, amending the City of Northfield Code of Ordinances to repeal Chapter 188 Flood Damage Prevention, to adopt a new Chapter 189 entitled Floodplain Management Regulations, to adopt flood hazard maps, to designate a floodplain administrator, and providing for severability and an effective date. This is the introduction. There will be no public input. The ordinance will be published by title in the Press of Atlantic City on March 12th. It is presently posted in the lobby of City Hall as well as on the municipal website. Any member of the public who asks for a copy will be provided with one free of charge in the office of the municipal clerk up till the time of the public hearing. And there will be a second reading, a public hearing, and the matter will be considered for final adoption on March 22nd.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Bucci?
Yes.
Mr. Deweese? Mr. Leeds?
Yes.
Mr. Notaro?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Utz?
Yes.
Mr. Palestina?
Yes.
Motion carries for the introduction of ordinance 5 of 2022.
Okay, ordinance 6. We have a motion to adopt.
Introduce.
Oh, this is, oh, sorry, I read the bottom line. To introduce ordinance 6-2022.
I'd like to make the appropriate motion to introduce ordinance 6-2022.
Second.
Ordinance 6 of 2022 is to be read by title only. This is amending Chapter 215-36 of the City of Northfield Code of Ordinances entitled Floodplain Management. This is the introduction. There will be no public input. The ordinance will be published by title. Now, this one's going to be published in full. Sorry about that. In the Press of Atlantic City on March 12th. Presently, it is posted in the lobby of City Hall as well as on the municipal website. Any member of the public who asks for a copy is to be provided with one free of charge in the office of the municipal clerk up to the time of the public hearing. There will be a second reading, a public hearing, and the matter will be considered for final adoption on March 22nd.
Thank you. Roll call.
Mrs. Bucci?
Yes.
Mr. Deweese? Mr. Leeds?
Yes.
Mr. Notaro?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Utz?
Yes.
Mr. Palestina?
Yes.
Motion carries for the introduction of ordinance 6 of 2022.
Have a motion for the payment of bills, please.
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion to pay the bills in the amount of $2,066.86.
Oh, I'm sorry. Second. Thank you.
Any discussion? Questions? All in favor?
No, can't do
I'm
that.
sorry, not all in favor.
Can't do that.
Roll call.
Yep. Mrs. Bucci?
Yes.
Mr. Deweese? Mr. Leeds?
Yes.
Mr. Notaro?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rutz?
Yes.
Mr. Palestina?
Yes,
Motion carries for payment of bills.
and meeting notices.
Okay, the third and possibly final budget workshop will be held March 10th here in council chambers at 4 PM. And the next city council meeting is March 22nd. Work session begins at 6 with the regular session to follow.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
Council President, so I just want to
Don't
make
hold
an
jump.
announcement that our next Atlantic County League of Municipalities meeting was supposed to be at Clancy's. It's now, it's not going to be at Clancy's. It's going to be this month. It's going to be at Crab.
Motion to adjourn, please. Thank you.
Make the motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Is that Friday, Mayor?
Yes, sir. Not this coming Friday, but
Next,
yeah, 18. Yep, 18.